OOP dodges a bride-shaped bullet. The wedding hasn't even happened yet, and everything's already a train wreck. And when Baby B cried, Beth called her a C word. My husband refused to answer my calls while I was in labor, and my brother played a horrible prank. Your pregnant wife calls you 16 times, and you call 10 hours later? Am I the a-hole for asking my sister WTF she expected to happen at her show of a bachelorette party? The other bridesmaid, who is married, was in an Eiffel Tower with 2 of the groomsmen. Her husband has left her because I guess this isn't the first time. OOP dodges a bride-shaped bullet. The wedding hasn't even happened yet, and everything's already a train wreck. Original post, December 7th, 2021. So this girl I know from high school is getting married. We're both 22. For reference, in our senior year of high school, she got pregnant with baby daddy A, who we'll be referring to as Adam. Her super conservative parents kicked her out, and she ended up moving in with a friend's family. She barely graduated high school. The only reason she did was because of the generosity and support of our teachers and students who volunteered to help her, which is how we met. We were in the same law class in the morning, and she had the worst morning sickness that really affected her ability to be in class. So I took extra notes for her, tutored her, and brought her her stuff if she hadn't come back by the bell. I wasn't the only one who did stuff like this for her, and I know she really appreciates all the assistance we gave her. She had the baby a month after we graduated. She signed up for a 911 dispatcher course for after high school because where we live, it's a good, steady job with opportunity for certificates and promotions. But she didn't realize how intensive the course would be and had to drop out. She started working at a grocery store bakery just until she had a better plan. Adam started an apprenticeship while working part-time at a hockey rink and proposed to her literally the next day of her 18th birthday and brought up marriage because it's the right thing to do. I don't really agree with that, but this isn't about me, and she was always refusing. She started cheating on him after a while. We're all 19 now, and eventually leaves him for another guy because she's pregnant again. Girl, just wear a condom. It takes 3 seconds. And it is far more likely that this guy, baby daddy B, who we will be referring to as Brad, is the father of the child. Neither of them can afford lawyers, so getting any kind of custody agreement is a mess. And then their parents got involved and they did 50-50 split. Still not made official. She has the baby that does turn out to be Brad's, and everything is okay for about 9 months, when she finds out Brad has been cheating on her with his TA. Brad decides to pay child support but doesn't really want contact with the kid, only around holidays and 1 weekend a month for his parents' sake. Shit's so messy, bro. She moves back in with her parents, we're all 20 now, who only accept her back because there's grandchildren around. On the plus side, when she's 21, she gets to take that year-long dispatcher course and passes with flying colors. After working as a dispatcher for a year, we're all 22 now, she meets a police officer we'll call Chad, who's 26 and married. We all know where this is going. And Adam's second cousin. Oh my god. Girl really wanted to stay in the family. I gotta respect it. I can't remember how they're related, just that Adam and Chad are related somewhat distantly. She has an affair with him. Infidelity is super common among cops apparently. She gets knocked up. His wife divorces him. Chad proposes because it's the right thing to do. She accepts, and her parents kick her out again for being a insert expletive here. She moves in with Chad with her 2 kids. They've started planning the wedding, which, given the background, is something akin to a dumpster fire. Adam is livid. He was desperately in love with this girl and hasn't really recovered from what she did to him. And while she rejected his proposals years ago, she's accepted one from his cousin who proposed for the same reason he did. Adam has basically made a call for loyalty in the family, dividing everyone who should go, who should give money, etc. Plus, they're having trouble planning anything because of COVID. Her parents have outright said that they're not going, along with half of her family and her younger sister, who has been going around and sabotaging what plans they can make. She has asked me to be a bridesmaid. I said that I couldn't because I live in a different province now. But the truth is, I do not want to be wrapped up in the clusterfuck in any way. I'm just watching the arguments and events unfold on social media because this is quite honestly the most entertaining thing I've seen all year. It's weird to me that she even asked because we're not friends. We never have been. We were were friendly strangers in high school. I just helped her out for one class because she needed help and I could give it to her. I was just being nice. But based on how she turned out, I'm just sad for her. 3 kids in 4 years and she's alienated so much of her friends and family because of her actions. And I'm torn between feeling sorry for her and putting my head in my hands. I mean, shit, bro. You can't be sorry for someone like that. If you make your bed with thumbtacks in it and then decide to jump off a high dive into that bed, hey, bro, that's on you. This is the equivalent to Jackass, but your life choices. Edit 1. We're from a city with over 400,000 people. She just comes from the neighborhood that is made of either Bible thumpers or white trash with no in between. But the high school we went to was in a completely different neighborhood than that. Our school had a pretty good sex ed course and they gave out free condoms and had resources to help girls get birth control. And they had programs in place for if students ever get pregnant / were going to be teen parents. They also had one of those classes with the dolls for girls who were high risk at teen pregnancy, but she wasn't high risk, so she wasn't in that class. I don't know if birth control just didn't work for her or if she just never tried it. She started alienating her friends after the affair with Chad came out because people weren't exactly jumping for joy that she'd broken up a marriage. Chad and his ex didn't have any kids, thankfully, so there was less obstacles. When people weren't immediately ecstatic for her, she started getting very snippy, rude, and was calling the bitches out on social media for not supporting her new relationship or pregnancy. To be honest, I'm really worried about her health because having this many babies so close together is just not good for her health, mental or physical. People are also worried that Chad will cheat on her. If he'll cheat with you, he'll cheat on you, and think she should avoid marrying him so that she can just leave him if that happens. I mean, honestly, they deserve each other because she's cheating too. They can just cheat on each other. That's best case scenario in my opinion. I'll give you updates as they come out, but so far it's just a lot of yelling on social media, mostly from her, some relatives slut shaming her, and people who are just really worried about her because as funny as this is, this doesn't seem like healthy behavior. Edit 2. First off, I realized I never gave this girl a name. For the sake of clarity, we'll call her Beth. I realized that I didn't mention this before, but all of these are fake names. Second, to everyone commenting that Chad is at fault for his marriage breaking up, believe me, I'm well aware of that. It is his ex-wife and her family / friends who solely blame Beth. Chad is also older than her and has more life experience, so I do believe that he could potentially be taking advantage of her naivete. However, she is also an adult who is capable of making her own decisions and has chosen to make poor ones in the past. Third, people who are upset that I'm posting this story here, claiming I'm humiliating her. She has been posting about this mess on every social media platform she has since they got engaged in July. She put this out there long before I did, except she did so in front of friends, family, employers, and coworkers, as well as internet randos. I mean, if this woman has this much depth and she's not even directly involved, I say it's fucking free game. Fourth, despite getting engaged in July and attempting to start planning then, I was only asked to be a bridesmaid 3 days ago. I knew that there was a mess going on, but I didn't really pay attention to it until she asked me to be a bridesmaid. I tried to ask what was going on. I said that she should talk to someone, but when she completely brushed me off, I checked her Facebook and Instagram and found out about all of this. Fifth, I realized that I didn't really talk about how disastrous the wedding planning has been going, so here you go. 1, they've had to rebook 3 times because venues and vendors keep canceling when infection numbers got worse, even though their wedding was months away. Oh yeah, this is in 2021, so this is still kind of around COVID time. 2, Beth has been flipping between having the wedding while she's pregnant, saying she's proud of her bump, and wanting to wait until they're born because she feels fat, which is unfortunate because she's been breaking down due to her insecurity on a public platform. 3, Beth is currently 7 months pregnant. 4, Beth's great aunt was going to give her her wedding dress to wear after she gives birth, but Beth's mom freaked and stole the dress from said aunt before Beth could get it and is now keeping it. The great aunt says she's too old to get in a fight and has shrugged it off. This family is a trip, bro. 5, Chad's immediate family is paying for the wedding and has been cut off by the rest of their extended family for choosing Chad. 6, Beth's wedding colors are pink and green, which is usually a nice combo, but the specific shades don't go great together. They are her and Chad's favorite colors, which is fine, but she literally made a video talking about these colors for 14 minutes on her Insta, and both of her kids are just full on bawling in the background down, and she's ignoring them, and she's gotten some flack for that. 7. Adam is finally settled into his trade and has now hired a lawyer and is trying to get primary custody and not allow his daughter to go to the wedding. 8. She's planning a Zoom baby shower / bachelorette party and has sent out a registry and is asking for crazy expensive things. 9. She's also setting up a GoFundMe to help pay for a honeymoon and is making a lot of posts about how no one loves her because the fund only has $1,267 of the $20K she wanted. $20K for a honeymoon? Girl, that honeymoon better cure cancer, cause what the hell? I totally get why OP is making this post. This is quite literally a highway accident that you just can't stop looking at. First official update from the last update, 16th. Lots of ranting and chaotic wedding planning on social media. She found a dress and has decided she will get married while pregnant. They found a local wedding venue that is very lovely, but I'm shocked she's still trying to book stuff with all of their previous venue cancellations. December 16th, her little sister unblocked her to call her a slut and tell her that all her wedding plans were stupid. This resulted in a petty and entertaining Facebook war until the little sis blocked her again on the 17th. December 18th, Beth went nuts on social media because Adam had kidnapped their daughter. What really happened is that because courts are moving at a snail's pace due to COVID and Adam had reason to believe that their daughter was not safe living with Beth, he decided to just not give her back. They don't have a custody agreement, and when Beth tried to call the cops, they couldn't do anything because he was kind of right. There were dozens of videos on her various social media accounts of her ignoring their daughter, yelling at her daughter for crying or doing other things that toddlers do. It turns out that everything she needed was bought by Adam: food, diapers, clothes, toys, daycare, while it was open, etc. On top of the unofficial child support he was paying every month, which turned out to be $500 a month, a number I find ridiculous because Adam was already paying for literally everything because she refused to buy anything for her daughter and insisted it was Adam's responsibility. Additionally, after the immediate post-birth appointments, Beth never took baby A to a doctor's appointment because she always deferred that to Adam. Baby A's pediatrician has never met Beth. Beth even tried to get Chad to push back or intimidate him or something, but the local police where we live are under one hell of a microscope after a bunch of dirty cops got busted a couple of years ago. Basically, the cops and the social worker they ended up calling ended up saying there was nothing she could do until they get to court. The social worker tried to get her to go to therapy and parenting classes, but Beth refused and went on a 15-paragraph long rant on Facebook about how she doesn't need parenting classes or therapy. She really does, though, and called the social worker some choice words. The fact that people like this are allowed to have kids is terrifying. December 19th to 24th, just a bunch of ranting on social media, calling everyone who doesn't enable or justify her behavior cuss words, slurs, and a whole bunch of other horribly creative things. Also, both she and Chad are under investigation at work now, but she has no idea why. I'm gonna take this time to remind everyone that 99% of this info is coming from her public social media pages where her coworkers are friends and place of employment is listed. December 25th. I am officially embarrassed to know this woman. I didn't go on her Facebook page until the evening because I didn't want to deal with the drama. First thing in the morning on Christmas. In the morning, she put on a very beautiful blue maternity dress, got Chad in his police blues and baby B in a purple romper, and then just live streamed her and her family going to the courthouse to get married on Christmas Day. According to her Twitter, part of this was because their newest venue canceled on them after COVID numbers spiked. Overall, a pretty tacky thing in my opinion, because she stated plain as day several times that she intended her wedding anniversary to eclipse Christmas for her children because it's just so much more special, you know? I am so glad that baby B's grandparents are filing for guardianship. But here's the thing, the courthouse isn't open because of COVID for one thing, but also because it's Christmas and Canada has a predominantly Christian history. She proceeded to have a full meltdown, and when baby B cried because, you know, the kid's mom was screaming up a storm and scaring her, Beth called her a C word. Yep, so done with this bitch. Here's the thing, man. I know that's a common word in like Australia. I have some gal friends who love saying that word, but to call your baby that word? What is that? Like a 2 or 3-year-old? December 28th, I ran into her at a vaccine clinic because we were both getting our booster shots. She didn't recognize me at first, but one of my old bosses, because I used to work at the hospital the vaccine clinic was in, called my name and said hi. So she came up to me after my old boss had left. We talked a bit while we sat down for the mandatory waiting period after getting the shot. She asked how I was, but didn't even wait for me to respond before she started ranting and complaining about her life. I was just going to sit there until the time was up and then just politely make my exit. But when she started talking shit about her kids, something inside me snapped. I just said, "Do you even like your kids? Do you like being a mom?" She got pretty quiet for a second and then said, "No." I don't know. Her voice and demeanor completely changed, and we just sat in silence until our time was up. I said goodbye, but it was really awkward. December 31st, today, I just looked at her feed, and this is such a shocking what the actual fuck moment. She's thinking about giving up her kids. She went on about how recently she was asked if she liked her kids or being a mom, and how she realized that she didn't. She hates her children and blames them for ruining her life, and how she doesn't want to be a mom. I mean, nothing is official yet, but what the hell? How incredibly not self-aware do you have to be to come to that realization like that? Of course it's your kid's fault, not your poor decision making. Hey bro, you could just worn a condom 3 times and you would have been Gucci gang, but sure man, blame the kids. Update 2, January 4th, Beth and Chad stopped posting on all social media. I was actually a little worried she died. I mean, this woman posts everything short of her trips to the bathroom on Instagram. Oddly enough, this got people messaging or interacting with her social media pages because she was usually the one to start contact, and that contact was usually yelling. No one heard from them, and some people started to be like, should we call the cops for a wellness check? Until Chad posted a status saying that they're fine, but they are busy. Please stop trying to contact us right now. Everyone listened, but it was weird. January 12th, today, she messaged me on Facebook asking me to be her maid of honor. She also kept going on about the resort in Cancun that she and Chad were looking to have their wedding at this coming February. Omicron is really bad where we are, so no one should be traveling anywhere. I've actually had to delay my trip back to the province where I go to university. No one should be traveling anywhere. Beth also found out that Chad was cheating on her with one of her coworkers and called the woman a homewrecker. Well, if it isn't the kettle calling the pot black, and called the woman a homewrecker on Facebook, tagged her, and posted the text she found on Chad's phone. Yo, I gotta respect that. Tagging somebody is crazy. Wow. Just fucking wow. But Chad is the love of her life, so she's forgiven him, but not the other woman, which I find very hypocritical considering how she and Chad got together. She also sent pics of possible bridesmaid dresses, and they are the most hideous dresses I've ever seen. I know that some brides do that thing where they want to look a million times better by comparison, but this was just ridiculous. One of them looked like a partially deflated balloon with feathers strapped to it. She also openly admitted that she expected everyone attending to pay $3,000. $2,000 would go towards that guest's stay at a resort, and $1,000 would go to her and Chad, and they will expect wedding gifts so that they could get their room for free. Apparently, she talked to someone at the resort, and if she got enough people to book their rooms, she and Chad would get theirs for free. She also wanted the money to be given to her instead of directly to the hotel so that people wouldn't realize that she was taking $1,000 of their money. Beth sent me a picture of the wedding dress she wanted, and it's definitely a clubbing dress. If that's what she wants, that's fine. And for the record, I do think she would look great in it. Beth's current dream wedding dress. Oh, let's click on this monstrosity. Okay. I'm trying so hard not to be judgmental here, you guys, but you know what? Let's just move on. I can't do that. But she wants all the guests to be dressed black tie, and she's already sent a list of unreasonable requests, such as 1. All women must wear heels for a wedding in the beach. 2. No one is allowed to have a baby or be pregnant. 3. Girls must have longer than shoulder length hair. Boys must have very short hair, only an inch or 2 long. What? 4, no one is allowed to be skinnier than her? This can't be real. No, I'm calling bullshit. This has to be fake or the... No. 5, she will be providing diets for everyone attending based on how she wants us to look. 6, she and Chad must get bachelor and bachelorette parties both in Canada and in Mexico that needs to be fit for a king and queen, and both must be paid for, but anyone but the bride and groom, cause that's just tacky. 7, no unnatural hair. 8, no tattoos. You have 5 tattoos, Beth, and in the dress you want, all will be on full display. 9, no one is allowed to talk to her directly. They must speak through the maid of honor and best man. Honestly, there's a lot more, but I didn't feel like typing all that out. She's posted the list on Facebook and Instagram, and people are already calling her a bridezilla. I was also just kind of weirded out because aside from the previous convo at the hospital and when she originally asked me to be a bridesmaid, we haven't spoken since high school. So I respectfully declined, stating that the virus and school were my top concerns right now. Then I decided to check her socials to see if she posted anything. She had, and everything was basically how it was before the hiatus, except her kids are nowhere to be found. No, look at my cute baby pics, or kids crying in the background of her videos. Nothing. Though, based on her new pics of herself, she's given birth to baby C. I mean, she's definitely still recovering, but she also definitely had a baby, and that baby is not on any of her socials. So when she responded to my decline with an attempt at guilting me to be her maid of honor, I asked her where her kids were. This was her response. "Oh, I left them at the side of the road on our way home from the hospital. Those moochers could walk home. LOL." I was like, please tell me you're not being serious, especially because it looks like she had the baby days ago. And she replied, "I was just joking. You shouldn't be so serious all the time. Honey, you made a joke about child abandonment/abuse. You are not being serious enough." And then I finally got the update on the kids. 1, baby A is still with Adam. Beth signed away her rights. Baby B and baby C have been given to a mutual cousin of Adam and Chad who is infertile. To be honest, I didn't need that last tidbit of info or the 3-paragraph long rant about how God hates infertile women. I didn't even read all of it. I couldn't. And I didn't think that Beth could be so cruel to even think those things. I mean, I could. You're telling me the woman who called her child the C word isn't cruel enough to say that about infertile people? Like, at this point, Beth could be the new Hitler, and I would not be shocked. I checked out the Facebook page of baby B's grandparents, and they're happy with their grandchild's new parents. It looks like the cousin and her husband are welcoming them to the family as another set of grandparents and will let them have access to B. One thing I do need to stress, though, is that because of COVID, the courts in our areas are either moving at a snail's pace or closed, so none of this is official. But Beth and Chad has signed paperwork, and all that needs to happen now is presented that to a judge. Thank God that woman doesn't have any more kids to ruin, because if anything, the kids dodged a bullet here. And when I rejoined our convo, she said the doc she had for baby C gave her birth control. Finally! Thank God. It's about damn time. We're about 3 babies late on that, but late is better than never at this point. And she was surprised because after her first pregnancy, she asked her doctor for it, but he refused to give her any. She mentioned that her old doctor was also her mom's and sister's doctor. She ended up asking the doc who delivered baby C to her new doctor, so I hope that works out. Damn, so it could really be a little bit on Beth's parents that this absolute monstrosity happened. Bible thumpers do be kind of fucking up the world, though. After learning all this, my conversation with Beth started to go downhill. Beth, wait, did you actually think I would just leave my kids at the side of the road? I just didn't want to be a mom, but I wasn't a bad one. Me, Beth, I think that you've been through a lot of trauma in the past few years and that it's gotten to you mentally and that you should speak to a professional. Of course, Beth has been a bad mom, but she does need mental health help and I wasn't going to convince her to get it or to not yell at me if I said that. Beth, what? You think I'm crazy? Me, no. I think that getting kicked out as a teen because of a pregnancy and having your family actively reject you and try to sabotage you must have been very painful. Plus, pregnancy puts a lot of mental stress on women and you've had 3 feet in such a short time span. I just want you to take care of yourself and get what you want in life, and I think that will start with you taking care of your mental health. Beth, what I want is for you to go straight to hell. Beth then calls me every cuss word, expletive, and derogatory word she can think of. One of those words she called me was a derogatory word about people from my ethnicity, and my blood is boiling that she thought it was okay to say that to me. So I'm now on her hit list. She's been blowing up my social media all day. On her last Facebook post where she called me a slur, she said that she still expects a good wedding gift from me. We're just gonna keep going. Yeah, no. So I've blocked her on everything and I've decided to completely cut off contact. This will be my last update. And then she did post another update. I didn't think I would be making another update, but here I am. I don't know if anyone will even care, but whatever. I'm still no contact with Beth and have no plans to change that anytime soon, but we have mutual friends who have told and shown me what's happened. First things first, she and Chad did get married, but they eloped. According to all sources, they are completely and utterly miserable though. Chad has proven to be an overall lazy and unfaithful husband, and Beth has really gotten into feminism with a focus on reproductive issues after she started using birth control, and Roe v. Wade getting overturned, even though we're in Canada, really caused tension in their marriage. As it turns out, Chad thinks that abortion is murder and God created women for the purpose of making babies. Beth tried to argue that not all women want or should be mothers, using herself as an example, and then Chad went ahead and used her as an example of why women should be forced to have kids, because in the end she gave kids to an infertile couple. She didn't take that well and said that her entire life and future was ripped away from her and destroyed the second she got pregnant with baby A. Adam was never slut-shamed or demeaned like she was, both at home and at school, which is a fair point, and myself and many others were helpful and supportive, but there were a lot of people who judged the hell out of her and said really nasty stuff. And if she hadn't gotten pregnant, she would have gone to college or university because she lost the general and financial support of her family with that positive pregnancy test. Chad has made a Tinder account. Beth was informed, but it doesn't seem like she gave a damn. So basically, you could cut the tension with a knife. And with her family, her sister came out as gay and cut off / has been cut off from her parents. But she's gotten a partial scholarship, so she's doing okay. She and Beth are not on good terms, but have met up and acknowledged that their parents messed them up by being religious nuts, and their parents encouraged them to be competitive with each other and sabotage each other. Apparently, their dad's motto is competition brings out the best in everyone. Ugh. But they've talked and that's good enough for now. Neither Beth nor Chad have custody or visitation of their children, which Chad is starting to regret because he's suddenly getting more and more into the church and religion. Chad talked to Beth about getting baby C back, but Beth shut that down hard and warned the cousin who adopted baby C, officially and legally now. Beth started going to therapy after she and Chad got married, which makes me very happy and excited for her. There was a rumor going around that Chad has a mistress, and it took me a while to confirm, but it's true. He's cheating on her with a paramedic and she knows. Beth is fully aware. I don't know if she plans to do anything about it or just continue to ignore it, but I hope she leaves his ass. I'm still not gonna talk to her. She crossed so many lines, but she's grown and improved a lot, and her life would be a lot better without that sack of scum in her life. Now, I have given a few details in my post that should have revealed my identity to her, namely her asking me to be her maid of honor. I have found out that she actually asked around 15 girls, including myself, to be her maid of honor without telling any of us about the others because she was trying to get money from all of us, and because her mental health has been very bad and she needed help. And of those 15, 8 have been going to school out of province, and of those 8, we all had basically the same classes in high school, and apparently doesn't remember our discussion at the vaccination clinic and had major blow up with everyone she's asked to be maid of honor. So she knows it's one of the 8 people and reportedly has no interest in trying to narrow that number down. I kind of have to throw some sympathy Beth's way because she really was set up for failure. This was a roller coaster, and at least she's in therapy. My husband refused to answer my calls while I was in labor, and my brother played a horrible prank. Now my husband is furious I won't cut my brother off. My husband and I got in a fight prior to my daughter's birth a week ago when he casually suggested a paternity test for our daughter when she was born. To be clear, this was completely out of the blue with no wanting or reason. I'm a homebody who works remotely with no male friends other than my brother. I told him that he was accusing me of infidelity, and he said he just wanted to be sure and kept bringing it up until I told him after 3 days of him asking and the stress starting to make me physically ill that I didn't want to talk to him and left to my brother's house. I called him while I was gone and tried to work it out, but he refused. After all this, I went home the next day to grab some things while he was at work, and I went into labor. I called him 16 times before calling my brother, who called him another half a dozen times himself while on the way to pick me up and then on the way to the hospital. It was a horrible and traumatic birth. I started crowning in the car, and the doctor delivered my daughter in the back of my brother's van because I was too far along to move me before rushing me in when I kept bleeding. It was horrible. I hated it all. My brother's wife, who is a nurse, even told me she honestly thought I wouldn't make it. I also opted for a hysterectomy as it came to that, or something more dangerous. I only ever wanted one or none, but my husband wants a large family. I'm trying to bond with my daughter, but it's been hard. The point is that during this, while I was returning from surgery, 10 hours after I called, my husband finally responded and asked why I hadn't answered his call. However, my brother had my phone and was so angry that he said, "This is OP's brother. I'm at the hospital. She didn't make it," and turned it off. As a third-person bystander who has no skin in the game, that's funny as fuck. But putting myself in the shoes of a family member, that's uncalled for. My husband rushed over and got there when I had just woken up and started shouting until the security forced him out. And then didn't get to see our daughter until the next day because I was mostly asleep, and apparently they needed my signature to allow him back. My sister-in-law thinks it was horribly cruel, but that he deserved it. But my brother stands by his prank and says that he only gave my husband 10 minutes of the same fear he had felt at my side for 10 plus hours. Whenever he sees my husband, he also keeps telling him that I nearly died because we waited for him. This brother is just poking the fire, which is so funny, but also, bro, let's stop. Like, know when to quit the bit. You maybe had an argument for it being funny at the beginning, but now you're just causing issues. My brother used to be mostly indifferent to my husband, but now he absolutely hates him. You can see it in his face whenever my husband enters the room, and he's been visiting a lot because he doesn't trust my husband to care for me while I'm still healing. My husband is furious that he won't apologize and that I won't make him, and yelled at me when I said that the only reason my brother had my phone was because he wasn't there. I'm trying to be empathetic. I know he feels guilty. I've spoken to my therapist, and she says the apathy I'm feeling is likely general and not solely focused on him from lingering shock from the trauma, but didn't say much about the prank. I'm not picking up that the husband feels guilty at all. I think if the husband was really like, you know what, this is on me, he would just eat the words of the brother and be like, you know what, I fucking deserve this. But he's not there. I think the wife should be way more mad at the husband. My mother-in-law has been texting me to say that my family is horribly cruel for the prank and that I should go no contact with my brother. And now my husband is saying the same. I just don't know what to do. I'm not in a good headspace. It's been hard to be in the same room with my husband, and I've been sleeping in the guest room with my daughter. He brought up the paternity once, and I just exhaustedly told him to either get out of my face or go stay with his mom if he's planning on stressing me out even more. I really don't feel myself, and yes, I am taking the likelihood of PPD seriously, and my therapist has suggested that it may be PTSD too. As much as the brother is poking the bear and maybe going a little too far, I think homeboy's in the right here. All I'm seeing from the husband is red flags. Wants a paternity test with no good reason, is showing a gigantic lack of remorse for ignoring his pregnant wife's urgent calls. What did it say? Hold on. Your pregnant wife calls you 16 times and you call 10 hours later? Girl, if that's not enough for divorce, I don't know what is. Like, what? My advice, file for divorce and go live with your brother. Update 1, July 8th, 2022. I don't think this will be something we can come back from. I just don't think I'll be able to heal with him because there is no way he didn't know it was me calling, and he still hasn't told me why he didn't answer. I know I thought I wouldn't decide right away, but I actually don't want to forget how terrible it was waiting on him, thinking he couldn't possibly leave me like that no matter how angry he was. I took the time to think of that moment before it all went down, and just how grossly betrayed and scared and alone I felt while the contractions were hitting and I was on my knees trying to breathe through the pain while waiting on the phone while it rang through. And I just don't think there's any coming back for that. I wouldn't want my daughter to think it's okay to stay with a man who destroyed her trust that way either. I will be contacting an attorney and I will be meeting with them in the coming weeks. We had a prenup, so it hopefully won't be too hellish. I feel like this situation became even clearer when my friend asked me if I'd still trust him as the one to sign off on my medical papers, and the reaction to that idea was visceral. I wouldn't, and I want him to get off that legality as soon as possible. There are roommates I had in college I would trust more. I would have never ignored so many calls from him consecutively unless I had told him expressly that I was unavailable at a specific time, and even then, I feel good with my brother and sister-in-law here with me, especially with her being a nurse and having been there through the birth. It's really helped us bond in a way that we'd never really had time to. I've also finally told my old friends about the baby, and they are alternating to come and help me out for the next little while. None of this even touched the paternity test, but I'll get it for the proceedings, I guess. So I guess he'll get what he wanted. Anyway, I'm safe and well, and my daughter is healthy and happy as a peach, and pretty much an angel who is happy to sleep peacefully anywhere and took to the boob with ease, which is such a blessing since everything still hurts. Just making this decision has taken an odd weight off of my shoulders, and my sister-in-law has been really helping us bond. I didn't even touch on the fact that it's very suspicious he didn't respond for 10 hours. Even 2 would have been uncalled for, but that's like, oh, you were doing something, you were at work, you were in a meeting. 10 hours is like, you were doing something. OP posted another update titled, "My husband suddenly asked for a paternity test prior to my daughter's birth. The general consensus is to check that he may be projecting. In divorce lawyers' opinions, is this common? Is it worth hiring a PI? I do intend on filing for full custody as I think his reaction, whether spiteful or not, was dangerous, and as a father, missing calls, 23 plus in a row, could be a life and death situation. Is it always worth investigating infidelity in divorces if it's suspected? And do any divorce lawyers find this at all seemingly suspicious in their opinions?" A narco crim responded, "There's almost no chance that you'll be awarded full custody because your husband ignored phone calls and wasn't present for the birth of your child. Often, mothers have majority custody while the infant is young and gradually transition towards a more equitable arrangement. Whether or not it's in your best interest to investigate potential infidelity depends on your location, the contents of your prenup, and other factors. Edit, if for example you live in a fault state where cheating could affect the distribution of marital assets, or your prenup contains an infidelity clause that would benefit you, then this might be worth pursuing. You need to discuss this with your lawyer. Your question about your husband projecting is more psychological than legal." OOP responded, "Thank you, I will follow my lawyer's lead, but I do feel rather strongly about a man who would put spite over another person's well-being when they know that they're in a vulnerable position as a reason not to have a child rely on them. I never thought I would be saying that. I married him, but I think anyone that has an unreliable partner should be aware of such for their children. It is not my intention to keep him from her, and I agree it is a more psychological term. It was just used a lot in regards to his actions, and I was curious if divorce lawyers found that in a lot of false infidelity accusation cases came from partners who were cheating themselves." You guys are gonna be like, no shit, obviously you agree with the lawyers, but I agree with the lawyers here because ignorance is bliss. And you're already worried about PPD and PTSD. Why add on the trauma of cheating? Unless it's going to help your divorce, I say just let it be. You already chose to divorce this man. Unless it helps you, just ignore it. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister WTF she expected to happen at her shit show of a bachelorette party? Before we get into the last story, I just wanted to say thank you for watching the video this far. And if you're enjoying the video this far, if you could hit the subscribe button or or follow if you're listening on Spotify, as well as maybe share this with a friend who also enjoys Reddit stories. I appreciate any support, and if you enjoyed the video, I'm sure your friends will too. Original post, August 2nd, 2023. We have a female 32 OP, a 23 sister, and a fiance that's 25. For some reason, my sister and her fiance decided that the very best way to celebrate before getting married was to have a joint bachelor/bachelorette party at strip clubs. They also hired a bus limo for the evening. The aftermath was, thus far, 3 breakups, 4 people dropping out of the wedding party, 1 impending divorce, and 1 arrest. The cleaning bill for the limo was more than the original rental fee also. She was crying to our mom at dinner the other day, and I snorted. I tried not to, I honestly did. I was trying my best to just keep my mouth shut. She asked me what was so funny. I said that I wasn't sure what she expected to happen, getting a group of people drunk, using illicit substances, and getting horned up watching exotic dancers. She said that I was an a-hole for judging her and her friends. I said I wasn't judging, just that literally anyone could have seen that outcome. My mom told me to apologize because my sister is having to replace most of her wedding party on the fly. I did, but I still think I'm right. I chose the verdict, you're the a-hole, but also you weren't necessarily wrong. In that moment, your sister needed support and you kind of shit on her. Maybe this wasn't the right time for that. Once the wedding's over and you're kind of in the clear, maybe that's when you bring up like, hey sis, probably wasn't a smart idea in the first place. In the heat of the moment, just not the right time. Relevant comments. OOP, I was at the party. I went to celebrate with my sister. I managed to not get fucked up and wreck my relationship. Somebody replied to that saying, okay, and why is this your sister's fault exactly? OOP responded, I never once said it was her fault. I said that anyone could have seen it coming. Someone replied with a request for info. Is there anything other than the overall party plan that made this likely to be a mess? Did they buy a bunch of coke and order sex workers too? Because there's no actual reason a group of adults can't go to a strip club, get tipsy, have a nice time, and not descend into chaos. Edit to add, you're the a-hole. OOP then responded to that with, fine. The maid of honor and her boyfriend did not break up. The other bridesmaid who is married was in an Eiffel Tower with 2 of the groomsmen. One groomsman has dropped out along with the bridesmaid. Her husband has left her because I guess this isn't the first time. The other groomsman in that group has no fucks to give and will be attending. We are lucky that by the time the cops showed up, everything illegal had been taken, eaten, ingested, or swallowed. I stayed mostly sober and stayed with my sister all night so she could party and not do anything too stupid. My husband also attended and I had tasked him with keeping an eye on the groom. He decided the best way to keep the groom out of trouble was to get him pants shitting drunk, which he accomplished with the only casualty being some underwear, a sock, and a pair of Levi's. The bus and limo came out as the worst victim in this whole debacle. It needs a biohazard cleanup and maybe some upholstery replaced. My dad is pissed. After reading the comments, I went to see my sister this morning and gave a more sincere apology. She asked me to be the matron of honor and I accepted. If anyone here is free Saturday, we still need someone to sing The Rose during the ceremony since my cousin is currently persona non grata. I only know about the breakups from hearsay, but suffice to say that getting a group of friends who have a lot of sexual history together and giving them drugs and alcohol and then taking them out to see naked people is a terrific idea if you are not getting married in a week. In case you didn't catch on, I actually read the story in like November of 2023 on my old podcast. And the reason we're reading it again is because there was a new update. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, I remember the story was really good. But what I will say is the relevant comments missed some important parts to the story that on my stream I did explain. So instead of me trying to remember the details of the story and yapping about it, I'm just going to insert sections from the podcast right here.
After like much beratement, the post is going viral. Backstory part 1 is...
Part 1.
This is what they said. I'll give the tamest example. My cousin is a talented singer. She is single and was supposed to sing a song during the ceremony. However, she hooked up with the maid of honor, whom nobody knew had that in her, including her boyfriend.
Oh, that's the tamest?
This happened in the bus. The boyfriend got arrested for trying to break into the bus while this was going on, and several people were cheering them on after locking him out. So I'm not sure where the people who locked him out were, but it sounds like
inside the bus.
the bus.
I'm going to talk to my
Here's
therapist
the
about
thing.
this. I can't wait.
Another reason why I went with you're the a-hole is because the sister and the groom actually didn't do anything. If anything, the friend group are the a-holes because like they, in a lot of ways, ruined this wedding for OP's sister. Update 1 originally posted August 10th, 2023, 8 days after the original post. If you were hoping for more fuckery, you will be solely disappointed. My father and husband had a talk with several of the miscreants that would be attending the wedding and put the fear of, if not God, then at least them into the children. We found someone to sing The Rose and my husband stepped in as a groomsman. As I commented, I did apologize to my sister for my insensitive snort and comment, and I was her matron of honor. We also got a couple of girls to fill in for the missing bridesmaids. The wedding went off beautifully, and when everything was said and done, the only real consequences are 1 divorce that was probably going to happen anyway, 1 arrest that will be pled to a misdemeanor most likely, and 1 pair of underwear, 1 sock, and pair of jeans. Sorry to disappoint, but nothing much of note happened at the wedding or reception. New update. Originally posted May 2nd, 2024. The divorce is final. Thank God the only children involved were the adults in their mid-20s who decided that this was appropriate behavior. She is dating one of the guys from the Eiffel Tower. The other guy and his girlfriend are friends with the happy couple. My cousin and his sister made up after a few months of iciness in their relationship. My cousin is performing in a touring production of a Broadway musical. We are all proud of her career, if not her choices for classy wedding behavior. My brother-in-law has been sober since the wedding. I guess ruining his underwear, a sock, and his favorite pair of jeans was a wake-up call for his incipient alcoholism. My sister is happy that he has made that choice as they are expecting their first child in about 2 months. And last but not least, the maid of honor that dropped out of my sister's wedding party is getting married to the boyfriend that got arrested trying to break into the bus/limo. They are having very separate bachelor/bachelorette parties. The girls are going to Branson, which was described as Vegas if it was run by Ned Flanders. The boys are going to go golfing in Myrtle Beach. My husband and I are invited and will attend. I asked my husband not to get involved if anything crazy kicks off. If somebody ruined my wedding like that, I don't know if I would be able to still be friends with them. If you enjoyed the video and you're looking for more reading Reddit videos that are over 20 minutes, click the link at the top of the description or the videos popping up on screen right now. The members of our community love these videos and I'm sure you'll love them too.